get us out of this situation, but it's about teamwork. It's about working together. It's about putting our heads together to figure out, okay, what's our next move? But if I take the easy way out and leave, then I have to figure all of that on my own. Not only that, I got 2 kids to think about too. So it wasn't for me. It wasn't in my best interest, and I don't think it was worth leaving. We go through a lot of stuff. Yeah, I wasn't always right, and neither was he. But it wasn't one person to blame. So me leaving was an easy cop out, I feel like, versus working through it and getting to the other side of it. Even though it took a while for us to get to the other side of it, I believe that it was worth the fight.
I have a question for you.
I fought for my marriage. I fought for my kids. And I think that right now we're living in the abundance of being worth the fight.
Yes.
Oh Lord, girl, you are speaking to the choir. But I have only one more question. I'm not sure if anybody else on the panel here has a question for you. But last week or the last podcast, we had a discussion on strong, independent women, right? There might be people that think that you made that choice because of certain situations. But would you consider yourself a strong, independent woman?
I am a strong woman. I am a strong woman, and I can't say that I'm independent. I say that because my dependence is on God.
Oh
and
Lord, you're speaking to the choir.
I'm independent without God. I'm not nothing without God, so I can't be independent. I'm dependent on God.
And your faith pulled you through this thing?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did your faith pull you through this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My faith, my family, my community, we have mentors that coached us through the rough times of our marriage. Like, you can't it's like we learned that you have to have people in your life that is where you want to go, where you want to be. So I gleaned from the mentors. I took my stance from the people who have been through this stuff, the people who have overcome it already.
Okay, Keith has a question for you.
No, go ahead, Ron. No, go ahead.
Felicia, hey, it's Haran. How you been?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. So, quick question. So, when you first heard that Stefan had that one-time fling, what was the feeling that you got? What was the initial feeling?
When I first heard he had that, I couldn't hear you.
The thing that happened in Seattle, babe.
The feeling was, of course, the feeling of hurt. It was a feeling of I want to say betrayal, kind of. But I knew that Stefan wasn't moving out of Stefan. I knew that Stefan was doing that out of, we do a lot of stuff out of what we are going through. Mm-hmm. So I can't fault him, or I couldn't look at him as, making that mistake, because we all make mistakes, and being a permanent hit on his record for the rest of his life.
Right.
So yeah, I was hurt. Of course I was hurt, and it took me a minute to be able to swallow that pill. But in everything, there's a lesson. I had to look at myself in that and say, okay, Felicia, how are you playing a part in this? What do you need to do better? How can you better yourself for him so that he doesn't feel like he needs to go and do those type of things?
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. 2 more people have questions, and then we'll let you. And I appreciate you coming on here and able to express. So Tanya has a question for you.
Hi, Miss Felicia.
Hello.
So my question is, do you think that now at this point that you and Steph needed to go through what you went through to make your marriage what it is now?
That's actually my question as well. So what?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was actually my question.
Sorry.
Repeat the question, Steph.
Did the things that we went through, did that play a role in making us better and making us who we are today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In every test, in every grade there's a graduation. Like, you elevate, you move forward. So at the end of your grading period, you have a test. So this was our test. We had a lot of tests.
Too many.
And it was God showing us that, okay, I can trust you with this, or this is a lesson for you. Okay, so now I can move you up to this. And it was a graduating period in our marriage that we had to get to. Now that doesn't mean that we done, because we still got life to live. But yes, everything that we have went through was a stepping stone in making us who we are and what we are right now in our marriage.
I have a follow-up question. Do you think that each test is making you a better person individually, or making your authentic self come forth better with each trial?
Each test is building our character.
Right.
Each test is building something in us. Yes, even singly, personally, and together. We have to learn different things about our own selves, and then we have to learn things about us as a unit, as together. So yes, every trial that you go through, it teaches you something about yourself and about whoever you are in relationship with.
You know, I definitely appreciate you coming on here and letting your story be heard by our audience. What you guys have done and what you have made it through, sets an example for other people that may be going through similar situations and just want to give up and throw away what they have done and what they have created and what the building blocks that they have had. So I appreciate both you and Stephen sharing and opening up to us and opening up to our audience, because truly we had a similar podcast on our last episode that we were talking about doom and gloom in today's dating society. And you guys have given us a different perspective. We actually didn't even come into this episode thinking we were going to talk about this situation. It just evolved into this situation. So I definitely appreciate you and Stephen definitely sharing with us this. And I appreciate you. So I'll let you go on with the rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Felicia.
Thank you, baby.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
So
Bye.
what, like I said, to people in our audience, it's not all doom and gloom, man.
It's not.
We were talking about in our last episode, and I felt like, just going back and listening back to the last podcast, it felt like a doom and gloom kind of podcast where there is no savior for men and women, or women, men, whatever. There's just no savior. There's no guiding light, or there's no hope for relationships for these people in the new age. But looking at Stephen, what are you, 30 something?
I'm 40 actually.
So
damn, you're getting old.
I look good, don't I?
He's still black don't crack, bro. So you still
crack.
you still in that age limit where you should be going through that. Keith, you had something?
Well, I was gonna say I don't want to say it was necessarily doom and gloom. There's a big distinct. I think we haven't really hit on the big distinction and what we talked about last time and this time. We just said it: dating versus married. If you're taking that marriage step, I think a lot of people who take that marriage step, like they've committed themselves to something much long range, much longer term. Dating, I don't think it's even doom and gloom in dating. It's just as looking out from the outside, looking into that now. I think we all were kind of like, damn, it's kind of a different landscape out there now than what we experienced in our youth and our quote unquote dating cycles, whatever. That's all. I don't think it was necessarily doom and gloom. I think it was more so the difference between dating and marriage. I think there's the biggest distinction between those two podcasts.
Well, I think I somewhat agree with you. I think the difference in Dating now is so much easier, but you don't have to do any work. We had to do work. We were at the end of, we got to put in work for this. Even in the dating, in the dating scene, we still had to put in work, right? You still had to buy chicks drinks, right? Right.
Whoa,
now,
whoa.
Wait. Let me finish.
Don't put that on me.
Whatever. Anyway, but I think now it's so much easier because I can just swipe if I'm not interested. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to engage. Everything is very easy. There's no work to be put in.
But to me,
and then
that's
wait.
Right. It's easier in the beginning and then harder in the long run.
Well, I'm getting ready to say that. When you get to the point where you want to get into the marriage phase, everything has been easy. You get into the marriage thinking, oh, we love each other. Everything's going to be great.
But are they even getting to that point?
I'm saying if they are getting to that, if they get to that point, if all they've had to do was swipe left and be real cute and do a couple of things, text, and everything's easy, then you get into a marriage and guess what? You got to put in work. You haven't had any practice run into being married because everything's so easy. You don't have to put in any work. We had to put in work. When you dated people, you had to put, even if you got rejected, you still had to put in work.
I would like to see the statistics of like you got divorce.com, right? I want to see marriage.com to compare and contrast.
If I could just add this one, the common thread through all of the stories, even my story, the common thread in relationships in general or specifically, decisions have to be made.
Purpose.
But it's as simple as decisions.
Whether it's a bad or a good one.
Whether it's a bad or a good one, you have to make a decision to love. You have to make a decision to stay. You have to make a decision to compromise. You have to make a decision to work together. It's all about a decision. And a lot of times people are scared to make a decision because they're afraid of what the perception is going to look like if they make this specific decision for themselves or for the unit. So you have, and I'm, as y'all can hear, my wife is pretty fucking awesome.
She
right?
is. I love her.
I wouldn't even be the man that I am right now without her. So a lot of the decisions I've made is because she's attached to my legacy and I'm attached to hers, and we're attached to our children's legacy. So I have to make a decision even when we're getting on each other's nerves and when we're not seeing eye to eye, and I may not be feeling my best and she may not be feeling her best. We are helpers of one another. We're submitted to one another. We're committed to one another. And that's the thing. And I know that, religion, and I don't care what religion you're a part of, there has to be something higher than yourself guiding you in all of your daily endeavors. And I don't know what you may believe in, but you have to believe in something other than yourself, because you alone is not going to get the job done.
If you're making yourself the ultimate authority in any situation,
you're not. It's
You're
going to fall.
not the ultimate authority when you're in a relationship, and I think that a lot of it also going back to the decision making part, right? It also has to do with the person that you are choosing, the right person to make those decisions with. And I will speak from experience on this. In my marriage, I'm gonna tell you about myself. I am definitely the kind of person that when I come upon a challenge, a problem, I am going to run at it head on, and I'm going to figure it out as I go. I am not going to stop, analyze, write things down, figure out a good path. I'm just going to get into the thick of it, and I'm going to figure it out as I go. I had a partner who really had poor decision-making skills, and that wasn't a slight against him as a person, and it is not a slight against him as a person, but his decision-making skills were not fit for my decision-making skills.
Right.
At all. He was kind of the type of person that's, I'm good with whatever decision you make.
Yeah.
Whatever choice you make.
Book, right?
Right. And so when you're the one who's making the sole decisions in every facet of that relationship, it becomes really hard. You no longer have a partnership. Now you have a dependent to. Right.
So you had a third child.
Did he never have? Did he never make decision? Did he pass all decision making on you? Was he a person that's like, for me? Now, I personally, a lot of times I don't give a shit about a lot of really day to day mundane, even some big medium sized big decisions. So a lot of times I'll say whatever, right? But now I always say, when I do have something to say, pay attention, and we mesh with that. Because a lot of times, I mean, I just don't. I'm not a bump on a log. I just.
You don't care for having spaghetti or
No.
or lasagna.
Yeah, but I don't really think that those are the
No,
types
but-
of decisions that we're talking
No,
about,
but
right?
I'm-
We're
yeah.
talking about
Or house, or
long-term-
where do we live, or can or like are we going to make this major purchase? What are we going to do about this with our child?
I mean, I think longevity has to do with, what type of decision-making skills does your partner have
right.
during the bad times,
Right.
during the challenges that come up,
Right.
the issues
That's
that
the
come
important
up.
part right
those
there.
Those are the important things, and
Yeah.
so there's no
That's what I-
handbook.
that's-
There's no handbook for that.
Well, that's what I was asking
There
you.
is-
Did he make no decisions? He just passed like.
No, it was
Okay,
absolutely always.
okay, there's all right. That totally
Can I-
and that you don't nobody
and
wants
you don't
that kind of
know-
pressure,
right? But also you don't know what your partner's decision making skills are in challenging times until
You
it's
get
go
challenged.
It's
time.
there. And another
know?
thing that particular man may not have even trusted his own decision
Right.
making.
which
Right.
is an insecurity, which is another thing to add to the problem.
Right. It could have happened in his childhood.
There you
Maybe
go.
he never
There you go.
maybe he never had to make any major decisions because his decisions was always made by his
for him.
parents or it was made by somebody else in his life that was of authority.
Military.
And once he got to a point where he had to be a man and make his own decisions and make decisions for somebody else, it almost froze him up.
Right.
So I told Haran that when
Hold
he
up,
was-
Pat. Make
when-
sure you said you were gonna get him. I'm waiting
when
on.
he was leaving to escape the lion's den to go to the bathroom, I said, I'm gonna come back to you, bro. So Haran, once dived into the realm of marriage, right?
I sure did. Yeah, it
How-
didn't last
how-
very long.
How long was it?
It may have been 8 months.
Wow, dude.
At the most, yeah. So I mean,
How long did you date prior to that?
Maybe half a year, 6 months. It
So
didn't
you-
last. It
so
didn't
you
last that
jumped-
long.
you
Yeah,
jumped.
How old were
I
you?
jumped the gun.
He really
It
jumped
wasn't that
because we
long
didn't
ago.
know.
It was about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, it was
But
long.
yeah, I mean, it was just destined to
Spur.
failure. I mean, I was going through some stuff mentally.
Right.
I wasn't all there. At one point, I was taking a lot of Adderall, and I was popping that like candy,
Right.
and my brain was just all over the place right at that time. So it didn't work out.
That's my shiny
Yeah.
ball guy right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a problem with ADHD, but I think Adderall just makes it even worse.
Right.
It's just, just prescription drugs in general is just not good for you. So, I mean, right now I'm in the greatest headspace in my life, right? And just looking back, I just know.
Tay-tay.
Yeah, I mean, and all because of the fact of just cutting out prescription meds.
But you've done a total 180
Yeah.
and how you took charge of all
Your
your
life.
your intaking of any substances in your body. You took charge of your physicality,
Yeah.
and you took charge of
spiritually. I
right.
mean, just
There
everything
you
in
go.
general.
That's
everything
what
in
I was just
general,
about to say. You took charge of your own headspace.
I did.
This
I
is
took-
like a whole other podcast topic.
Yeah, I mean, but
No,
it
but-
affected
but
my
it-
marriage, though.
I was gonna say it all
it
plays.
played out into my marriage,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
I
yeah.
got divorced because I just didn't know what was going on in my head at the time. But
You got married because you didn't know what you were going.
I didn't know what I was going through, and it's just part of that's really actually it was all because of the Adderall.
I feel that.
It's all.
I
because
feel
of
that when I got married, I was not in a good headspace at all.
Yeah.
And when I said yes to that situation, it was definitely because I needed security. And it wasn't financial security that I needed. It was emotional security. I needed a safe space.
It's
You need to be
and then-
grounded.
Well,
Yeah.
like literally 30 days after I got divorced, I found out my A1C was 16.5. I mean, that's really high. That's
yeah.
really high. I mean, it was to the point where I
tell
felt like I had to,
tell the podcast.
I felt like I had the flu all the time.
Yeah.
There was one point I was in my parents' basement and I just passed out. My mom found me, passed out on the floor. I went to the doctors and he was like, basically you're gonna die if you continue this. So I mean, I was in a real rough.
So you had to make a decision on your life.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think that's that. Going back to people in relationships, that's the problem. Is people can't really decide to make the decision on what it is they want to do, whatever it is, whether it's stay, go, find, whatever, seek,
But pull
whatever
the
it is,
trigger.
right? But I was gonna say, like, as my last thing to say, for some reason last week, and I don't know why, I did not write it on my Facebook because y'all know I write morning stuff. But anyway,
I was just about to ask
your
Patricia
time
something.
rhythm.
Is she getting up to use it?
why do they all keep doing that?
You know, I was just about. As soon as I was going for you finish, I was like, I'm about to jump on her in a minute.
We'll come back to her.
We'll come back to you.
Go do what you gotta do. I don't know what it was, but last week, I swear, I know it's gonna sound weird, but God laid it on my heart all last week. Every day last week, this same sentence kept coming to me, which was, "It's easier to fear than it is to love." I don't know why, but every day I thought that it's easier to fear.
Explain that a little bit.
So I can only go by what I think it means, but I think that most people live, breathe, decide, even find purpose in things that they fear versus love. To me, love is easy. I think love is easy. It's easy to love somebody. If you walk around with hate or angry all the time, that takes a lot of energy, right? So
It takes more energy.
Huh? It takes more energy.
It takes more energy.
Exactly. But people normalize fear so much that love is scary to them instead of things that you should be fearing. You should be fearing somebody who's has an aggressive personality and you're with them because you don't know when they might pop up. To me, that's something I'm going to fear. I'm not going to fear somebody who loves me necessarily.
No, that's funny because for somebody like me who was raised in,
Chaos,
toxicity, that is my comfort zone.
Right.
So when someone
you normalize the fear part of it.
Right. So when someone is actually showing me like a healthy form of love.
Well, but the
really,
key word there is healthy.
Yeah.
A lot of people show love, but what's their my favorite word of the day is, what was their purpose in it? Because people get married, their purpose to get married is not because they love this person and they want to live there. Because this person's got a lot of money and I can look real pretty and I can dress and rest all day and that's all I have to do.
What is